13th. It is the last council meeting of the year. And so, Margot, take it away.
Okay, for the benefit of the public, I will take a roll call. Councilman Cotton?
Present.
Councilman Foster?
Here.
Councilman Iannicone?
Here.
Councilwoman Mayer?
Here.
Councilman Silva?
Present.
Councilman Umbriak?
Here.
Council President Armington?
Here.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Fantastic. We will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Nice.
Oh,
Council President, if you could,
No.
we need to log into Zoom.
Oh,
Go ahead.
So we have to do it all over again.
I think we're raising for the Pledge of Allegiance.
We have to log into Zoom first.
All right, I won't be there.
Yeah. You can, yeah.
Yeah, practice.
Very good.
Like being in Catholic church. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Oh, I hope Monsignor didn't hear me say that. It's true.
That's
Go to Pastor Silva's church, you standing the whole time.
Yeah.
Singing,
Singing, dancing. Having fun.
praising Jesus.
Amen. We're good.
Hey, Karen.
Because I have it on the MHA report.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yes.
Supposedly Gruber's looking at stuff.
So now I'm going through there.
Stay home for the holidays.
Yeah. Must.
All right, now we're ready to go.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. I stand corrected. We're moving into a moment of silence. I'd like to remember Mayor Jay Delaney, who passed last month. Ask that everyone keep her family in our prayers. And we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
Council President, make sure your mic is on.
It is on.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, before we get started, please be aware that public comment during the public hearing portion of this meeting will be held both in person and through the Zoom app. At the appropriate time, members of the public wishing to speak should indicate so by raising his or her hand in chambers or in the app. To comment via Zoom, click on the raise your hand icon at the bottom left side of your screen. You may also raise your hand by pressing *9 on your phone. When it is your turn, the moderator will send a signal through the app and ask that you unmute yourself so that you may be heard. To unmute yourself on the phone, press *6. During executive session this evening, there was a discussion regarding a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Morristown and the County of Morris, authorizing settlement of the tax appeals entitled Lots Family Properties LLC versus Town of Morristown, docket number 006180-2009, 010193-2010, and 009212-2011. At this time, I would please ask for a motion to add that resolution to the agenda as resolution number R-167, 2022.
I'll make that motion to add resolution R-167.
I'll second it.
Okay. On that motion, Councilwoman Cotton,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster,
Abstain.
Councilman Iannicone.
Yes.
Councilman Mayer,
Yes.
Councilman Silva,
Yes.
Councilman Umbriak.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Resolution R-167-2022 has been added.
Great.
There's one item on the consent agenda this evening. It is for the ABC Social Affairs permit for an event that actually occurred this past Saturday. It was a fundraiser for one of Morristown's officers. The chief and I did receive administrative approval and council president approval to go ahead and approve that application, so the state was able to issue the permit. So this here is just a formal adoption and approval by the council for that event.
Call the question?
No, you can just
Yes.
make a motion to
I'll make
adopt.
I'll make a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayer.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Councilman Umbreak.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Motion is carried. At this time, I will open the floor for a public hearing on any matter. For remote members of the public, please raise your hand in the Zoom app to indicate that you would like to speak. If you've joined the meeting via telephone, press star 9. Kindly state your name and address and limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. Be advised that any derogatory comments targeting members of council and/or administration may be ruled out of order. No comments were received via email.
Mr. Burns, why don't you kick us off today?
Good evening. My name is Bill Byrne, and I live at 100 Franklin Street. And I'm here to complain about the pedestrian safety. It's really getting to be a joke. Town's getting crowded. Okay, some people in the cars, not everybody, but some of them are using them as legal weapons. And what I mean by legal weapons, because by the grace of God, I am here today because God protected me. Okay? I'm going to give you a little demonstration here. Now, I was in the crosswalk. I was on the sidewalk. Okay? There's a sign. Everybody sees this in town. It says stop for pedestrians. It's the law. Okay? So, what happened? I looked both ways, didn't know what this car was going to do for Madam. And so I continued getting across, and I'm in the middle. And I'm saying, okay, what are we going to do here, people? You know, because people on the other side, they stopped. They're going to let me go across. And so I said, come on here. One of us make a move because I don't know what the heck to do. Well, the car just missed me. About an inch that close. What is it going to take? Is it going to take maybe one of your little kids get hits or gets killed? I mean, what's it going to take here? This has been going on, you know, since I even became a part of Morristown. I mean, it's a joke. We got to do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Yes, sir. Come on up.
Always.
Good evening. My name is Sal Moran. I'm the Executive Director for ARC Morris, and my business address is 1 Executive Drive, Morris Plains.
I'm sorry, sir, the executive director of?
Executive Director of ARC Morris.
Thank you.
ARC Morris is a nonprofit organization dedicated to help individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Gotcha. And since 1953, we have assisted thousands and thousands of families. And so we're very proud of the services we do. I'm here with some of my staff who are long-term employees of ARC Morris, Gail Paradise and Naira Aslanyan. And let the record be show that I'm here also with a long-term board member to support the requests we make into the City Council. 2 years ago, in the middle of the pandemic, we received great news that you were planning to build a complex of apartments, units, actually located out of Morris Street, known as the Revolution. And that specific project, you set aside, I believe, 14 units that will go to assist people with special needs. And I commend you then, and I commend you today for taking such steps. Housing for people with special needs is a problem, has been a big problem for a while, and we need more. Since then, we have not received any updates in terms of where that particular project is. we share the news with some of our membership, and they've been asking, what's going on? What is the plan? How do we move people to some of these great opportunities right in our communities? So that will be one. We would like to know where that project stands. Second, we like to just remind the council that people with special needs, in particular those who I represent this evening, intellectual and developmentally disabled folks, do require an array of services to live successfully out in the community. And therefore, it's important to consider that when we move people into community-based housing, we partner with community-based organizations who have the best interests of those individuals we serve in mind and will provide quality services. One of the things that we have seen lately is that many providers who may not be completely working on the best interests of the people with special needs may not be providing all the services someone may need. Again, I thank you so much for the support, and if you please could provide us with some update, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Sir. So just for your edification, we asked the administration to provide that information. They will provide that during their administrative report. So,
thank you.
Yes, come on up.
My name's Karen Keene. I live in Oliver Park in Morristown. I want to bring up a subject of rent leveling. I think, Julian, you were the one that said there were 3.7% was frozen for this year. Was that you? So anyway...
You need to finish your comments, and the council
Okay.
will address it afterwards.
Well, the thing is, I don't think the person that made that statement would want their salary cut 10 or 20%. The people that are under rent control are the buildings that are 81 and backwards. So those are the houses from the 1800s to the 80s. So the problem is to maintain the integrity of those buildings, especially in the historic district. You can drop $100,000 and you haven't even touched the surface. Meanwhile, you've got to fill out these stupid forms on a yearly basis. The problem is, Tim has built all these brick and mortar apartments all over town, and he's still building them, and they're not under rent control. And it's been said that they raise them 10%. 10%, $250, $300, $400 a month. The little guy who needs the money, because they even pay the utilities, a lot of these landlords, they have to get 2-3%. That's it. Take it or leave it. The inequity is tremendous because there are now more buildings that are not under rent control. I spoke to Mr. Iacone on this a year ago, I guess. The only people that need to be on is low income and senior citizens. And you can have special needs or whatever fall into that category. But the other homes shouldn't have to be under rent control. You don't need to be spending $80,000 a year for someone to monitor it. You could use a Morristown dispatcher instead. And the other problem is most landlords probably aren't even raising the rents. And now they're told you can't have it even in the balance. There's inequities here. First of all, you don't have nobody can control the rent control thing. Single families, you don't know whether they're under rent control or not. 2 to 4, if they feel like applying and going through the motions of filling out the forms, they do it. There's people that don't do it. The same thing with CHs. Not everybody is getting them, and the reason being it's $160,000 a month for the CH, $160. And if 3 and up is $120. But that's a lot of money to spend to have your place inspected. So if you reduced it to, say, 100, you'd probably get more people going in and getting the inspections. So you have that problem. There's no control over it. You just have to hope the person applies when they put a new tenant in. So I think you should reopen and consider that antiquated rent leveling ordinance, and let's bring it up to date.
Thank you.
Okay?
Anyone else from the public? Anyone online? Nope, okay, we'll close the public hearing. Any responses from council members?
I'll start if I could. It's interesting, Karen, that you bring up rent control, because one of my concerns in town has been, why haven't we expanded rent control? Okay, because you're right, it only applies to units prior to 1981. We have a vacancy, market rate vacancy regulation, so we're actually losing units every year. And what I'm hearing, and I think I've discussed this with a couple of private meetings with some of my fellow council members, is our concern is actually the affordability of people being able to remain in town. And who's being locked out is, I think the town's done a phenomenal job of developing low and moderate income housing. I think we probably have done a better job than anybody else in the county. And I'm very proud of what our town has done with low and moderate income housing. Okay? But rent control really also is there for what I'll call that person that's kind of like stuck in the middle. Doesn't make enough money to have high rent, doesn't have the money to own a home. The other problem you have is nobody has opportunity to develop equity anymore, these young people. So you see these young people, because everything's being built is a rental. So nobody's buying a unit, developing equity, being able to basically develop a savings that they're going to have for life, be able to basically move from a condo to a home to raise a family in a nice environment. So I'm glad you brought up the topic, but probably not for the reason why you brought up the topic. All right, because I've been talking to several. I've been talking to Pastor Silver. I've been talking to Tuan. I've been talking to Sandy, and maybe it's time that we do take a look at next year, because next year is the commencement of a new year, and we've got a year to investigate it, because there's a lot written on both sides of the issue of what is rent control good, is it bad, what does it do for affordability of housing, what does it do for society. I actually think that next year we as a council maybe want to take that on as a topic. Maybe not for the reason why you brought it up tonight. Okay, I think you brought it up tonight because you're not in favor of rent control. Okay, well, no, it's not my turn. Okay, it's not my turn. But I think it's a topic that we as a group may want to take on next year. And I'm quite frankly, I'm glad the topic came up tonight.
Anyone else? Administration,
I got just one other comment, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
On Ark Morris, Sal, thanks for coming out tonight, because I know that early on in the project that is going on Morris Avenue, where you got 14 unit that's going to accommodate 28 special needs adults, okay? And I will tell you, the mayor, administration, we wanted that, and we wanted to get that aspect of housing into our community. And it's something that we're committed to going forward into the future. And I think what your concern is that we want to make sure that what's the plans for the operation of that? And I think, Mayor, do you have an update, or you want to put it off to another?
No, when I do my comments.
You want to, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll leave it to Tim, because I think he's well aware of what's going on.
Is that it? Sir, all right. Report of the mayor and administration.
Okay. Council members had asked for an update on a couple of topics, some old business topics. So I'd like to cover them briefly today. The first one happens to be the Morris Ridgedale Development Special Needs Housing. The developer has been in active conversation with an operator, and my understanding is they're anticipating entering into agreement by the end of the year. Unfortunately, it does not seem to be Ark of Morris. But they are in active conversation with an operator who will provide the special needs housing support into the coming year once the building is completed next year. The second update was the status of the lumberyard. The lumberyard project had been, or the property had been in active bankruptcy until recently. My understanding is that the property owner settled with their lender and has been paying the lender debt. They've been paying on the debt on the property. But as soon as, if the town were to pursue condemnation on the property, I expect that they would re-enter bankruptcy and it would, sort of restart the clock as far as, the property. So if we decide to choose to move forward on condemnation, then I think it would need to be understood that there would be bankruptcy that would complicate that process. So as we move into next year and contemplate whether, the policy decision about that property, just understand that even though the bankruptcy is currently stayed at this point, that it's still sort of in the background. And then lastly, the post office. So it took a very long time to finally enter into a contract. We finally got an executed contract from the post office the end of October. And the architect was able to start the assessment process. They have been in the post office several times over the last, I think we're like in month 2-ish. And in fact, they'll be in the building tomorrow doing piercing the buildings, doing boring studies of the masonry to understand the water penetration and the condition of the structure of the building, which is a steel structure. So that is ongoing, and they are on target to have their assessment done by the 4-month mark-ish. Assuming that they continue to get cooperation from the post office, which has been pretty good so far. The environmental studies, they finished the phase 1, and no surprise, they did find some hazardous materials, mostly asbestos, which we expected to find. They're suggesting a phase 2 be completed, and that's something that will need to be discussed with our attorney, whether that should be done part of the due diligence process before we complete the due diligence process, or if that's something that can be held off until the next phase, because that would be another expense that the town would bear. But I do think that the penetration assessments and the work that the architect is doing will inform whether we need to move forward on the next phase on the environmental as well. So we are moving right along. The architect was also here in the building, walking one of the departments to do a space analysis of our current operations here in Town Hall. They looked at, this space and everyone's office space to understand how they're utilizing it currently, whether it's the most efficient use of the space, what kind of storage space is needed, and that will inform the feasibility analysis in the post office building as well to see, how and how much of our current operation would be feasible in the post office building and how that could fit. So we're moving right along. I expect to have a more complete analysis sometime late winter, and we'll go from there.
Good?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Okay, just, Jillian, just so we're clear on the, with reference to the supportive housing,
Yes.
the concern there that I think Sal brought up this evening is it's great that it's being developed. It's actually the experience of the operator, and that's the concern. It's not an art question. It's really the experience of the operator. One, are they basically registered with the DCA? Or two, are they going to be basically following the guidelines for placement, and who basically moves up in the order for qualifications for the housing? Three, is it going to be run as a public supportive housing as opposed to a private supportive housing? Which is, so
Yes.
Those are the kind of concerns that people have, because it's the fairness, the equity, and it is the support services, which are both social, psychological, and finding placement workers, preceptors, especially when you have a community with 14 units in such close proximity, which is a benefit.
Absolutely.
Which should be kind of really leveraged to the max.
Yes.
So any thoughts on that, or are you having those discussions with?
Certainly. I mean, the units are COA units, and it's the developer's responsibility that the COA units meet the COA requirements to qualify as special needs housing, and all of those things would be required as part of that. So I will certainly circle back as they're finalizing their operations agreement or management agreement with the operator to ensure that they all all the parties understand what is expected of them, and that they meet the needs of the developers agreement as it was anticipated.
Can we get the their qualifications, so we can
I can
vet them ourselves?
I can certainly ask.
That's, yeah,
Thank you.
good point. Good point. And Jillian, just back to the lumberyard for a second, and not for tonight, because I know it's short notice, but maybe for a future meeting in the beginning of the year, if we could take a look at the council prior action, because I do understand what you're saying about the bankruptcy and how the bankruptcy can cause a stay in the action, but I'd like to just revisit like the original resolution we did with reference to the lumberyard and what our intent was, just for some clarification, not for tonight, because I think we've got enough on the agenda, but maybe.
Can you, I guess, clarify what you're asking for?
That's my point, I don't know.
Okay.
But I do remember the resolution, because the resolution was like a first step, then a second step.
Yes.
And bankruptcy was not envisioned in that discussion. And these are very technical questions, and I think we probably have to give David some time to kind of think it through, too.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay?
Can I make a recommendation
Go
that
ahead.
basically, since this is really a contract negotiation sort of thing, and
Yeah.
that you have communications with the administration
All right, we'll
on
talk.
this, and if there's a resolution that you feel is appropriate to bring to the council some information, then you can report out, or the administration can report out of your
Part of that is
discussions.
just going back and having recollection back to what we originally were doing,
Yes.
you know, and I don't know.
And I'm happy to follow up with you after the meeting to
Perfect.
discuss that further.
Thank you.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I just want to clear the record that Tim Doherty does not build, and not a builder in town. These are all developments that were pre-approved before I even became mayor, and some that are approved as the redevelopment council, just to clear Karen Keenan's statement that I build these buildings. Second thing is, you should be aware that rent control was voted down on a referendum by the people of Morristown overwhelmingly to de-vacancy control. Legally, I'll have the lawyer draft up and kind of look into what the next steps would be. We were on the side of rent control, we lost. It was a very tough fight, but we overwhelmingly were beat by the residents of Morristown on the rent control issue. So bear that in mind as we go forward with this. It also, under rent control, the assessments of these buildings were so low that we weren't getting the tax dollars from a lot of these buildings that were under rent control, which hurt, obviously, you know, the tax structure in Morristown. We're a huge percentage behind the eight ball when we start our budget sessions because of the nonprofits, churches, and the county buildings. So we're behind the eight ball everywhere we start. So unbeknownst to that, and in the future, in January, I'll get you all the information you need, but it may not be as simple as you think. The council's just going to vote rent control back on. It doesn't work that
Well, no,
way.
I actually think it's a year-long project.
It's probably going
And
to...
it's looking at the broader issue of affordability, but
There is no way, and I'm not a lawyer, that you wouldn't be hit with more lawsuits than you can shake a stick at, soon as you try to move forward with this. It is been knocked down in a lot of towns. Am I correct with that? Rent control as unconstitutional. Like I said, we were for rent control, and we got beat at the ballot box, overwhelmingly. So we'll give you all the information you need to go forward, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that's pretty much just a little bit of briefing, just to touch on Karen's comments, so the public understands that this was a 2-year process with this fight for rent control, which we lost at the ballot box.
What year was that?
Oh,
Do you
God,
recall?
it was 2000?
2000,
it's
okay.
actually,
1999?
well, it goes back, but I think where we're going, and I think you'll agree, I think it's the discussion on affordability. It goes beyond rent control.
Yeah.
And a lot of towns are taking this discussion up now. And it's not, we're not looking for any definitive steps now. But I think it's-
It's a discussion for next year,
Right.
Mayor,
And I
to
think
continue with your
you're on
report.
page.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Friday, December 2nd, Morristown Partnership had the Christmas Festival began with Santa's arrival. You can look at the schedule at www.morristown-nj.org for their hours of Santa Claus being in his house. The turnout's been very good. I've been by there a few times. The lines have been long. People are coming to the downtown. The green looks great. They really lit it up nice this year. And so hats off to the partnership. December 4th, the MPAC held their Theater of Lights. For those who attended, there was a number of people there. You wouldn't have recognized Stefan because he was dressed up, and his wife. And for those who also attended, it was a great event. But I want to give a mention to MPAC because before that, they held a concert. And it was a tribute band to the Carpenters. I don't really talk too much about the Carpenters. It's not like somebody went out and got a CD of the Carpenters, but I remember the Carpenters when I was younger. And I got to tell you, I never really go see tribute bands, but if this group ever comes back, you really want to go see it. I closed my eyes and really thought I was listening to the Carpenters.
Wow.
It was amazing. And the words that this woman spoke about Morristown on stage, they'd never been here before. It was an early show, so they were in the downtown. They were going back out into the downtown. They just thought the town as a whole was an amazing place. And if you ever get a chance to see them, go see them, because if you like the Carpenters, on top of the world, it was worth going. December 10th at Fleet Feet. Councilman Nathan Umbriak and myself. I don't think anybody else was there, correct? No. We did the ribbon cutting for Fleet Feet. So I'm just going to take 2 seconds on this. Mayor, can't buy a pair of sneakers in town. Oh, yes, you can. Fleet Feet, right on South Street. You can get the shoes I wear when I go fishing. You can get sneakers. You can get workout wear. You can get sweatshirts. You can get pants. You can get socks. You can get a lot of different things there. So Fleet Feet on South Street. We did the ribbon cutting. It was excellent. It was well attended. A lot of runners, but you don't have to go to Fleet Feet just because you run. I'm not a runner. But you can get everything you need there. They got great stuff. So that's Fleet Feet on South Street. Wednesday, the 14th. This doesn't apply to anybody, maybe Bob. Maybe Bob it applies to. December 14th, noon to 2 o'clock, our Morristown Senior Holiday Party. Just kidding. Come on, we're the same age.
I'm in good company.
You should come. I wish you all would come. I really do. It's a great event. It's a great event. It's a senior holiday party at Town Hall. They really look forward to this event. They come from everywhere. Karen, you going to be there?
Yeah.
All right. So that is noon to 2. That is the 14th. That is tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Wow.
So come by and say hi to the seniors that come. It's a lot of, we have lunch, giveaways, entertainment. It's great. Sunday the 18th, 2 p.m., Our Youth, Their Future, Holiday Spectacular, I'm sure you're going to mention it also, is at the Marion Sally Residence Center.
Yes.
And I'll just cut into that real quick. Councilman David Silva and myself were just there. He's going to brief on it when he talks about his housing report. The Jets made a great donation and opened up a computer lab in the residence center. That is
Nice.
amazing. I'll let David talk about it, but I got to tell you, it is amazing what they did for our residence center down in Manhattan Village. It's really amazing. But I'll let David talk about that. 5 p.m., 7 p.m., December 18th, that's coming this Sunday, Rabbinical College of America's menorah lighting at the Morristown Green. 5 p.m. I'll see you all there. 5 p.m. on Sunday. Wednesday the 21st, Morristown Jewish Center menorah lighting and Hanukkah celebration at the Morristown Green near the fountain, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's Wednesday the 21st. I'll make sure this gets out to all your agendas, that Kristen sends it out to the clerk, and the clerk can distribute the dates on these things. The third is the council reorg meeting. That's January. We're out of December. And then a couple of quick announcements before I turn it back over to you, Council President. Again, I want to mention the passing of our former Mayor, Jay Delaney, who was somebody I spoke to and advised and met on several occasions. And if they ever met with Jay, he always had a long, thin pad, and he had like everything jotted down. He just went through each one until he was complete, so he didn't forget anything. And he was a wealth of someone of information and you could talk to about the history of Morristown. He loved Morristown High School. His wife was a high school sweetheart. So there's some great history, and we are really sad about his leaving us so soon. But he will be remembered. Obviously, anytime you want to see him, you can see his face on the wall right outside in the hallway. Town Hall is closed on the 26th. Obviously, 25th, 26th, and January 2nd in service of Christmas and New Year's Day. Now, there's two more things I want to mention. One is to follow up on Mr. Councilman Iannacone's. I don't negotiate with the developer for who they're using to operate their units for disabled. I have an idea who they're negotiating with, but I cannot tell them who they can use and who they can't use. But we can clearly give you the number to call them if you want to speak to them. I'm sure we can get that information to you. I don't know where they are in negotiations, what they're doing, but I agree with you. We want to make sure that.
We call several times.
Okay. We want to make sure that special needs are protected and made sure that they are completely in compliance with every law that is necessary to make sure that their quality of life and their experience in Morristown and what the council and the administration working together have done here, which doesn't happen often in this state, that it's done correctly and it's successful. So we hear what you're saying. Obviously, Councilman Iannacone is paying very close attention to this, and I guess we can follow up with Councilman and find out what's going on. And the last thing I want to do is I want to personally thank Derek Thomas from the Fraternal Order of Eagles, who came here to get a permit for a fundraiser for Brendan Briscoe. The chief of police is in the back. I was at the fundraiser. Several people showed up to support Brendan in his battle with cancer. It was an amazing event, and I just want to give a shout out to Derek for getting that permit and getting it going, and the Fraternal Order of Eagles for hosting it. It was a really great event, and got to see Brendan, got to talk to him. I know he's battling, but he looks great. He's got great attitude, and I want to thank the PBA and the Fraternal Order of Eagles, and for what you guys are doing for your own. We appreciate it, and I know the council does too. And the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to shut up, is Anthony. Is Anthony here? Hey, Anthony, I just want to make sure I got this right. Joe Med did DeHart? Yes. So every once in a while, not all the time, we get people coming in to say what a great job a contractor's doing on the street. And for those who notice, DeHart has been blocked off many times. If you go around, and I live off of DeHart, it was blocked for so many times because they're stretching out the road. They reset all the curbing. What they did was they took the time, this contractor, and correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony, they reset Slate better than I've seen anybody ever set Slate before. And people's sidewalks, driveways, and residents that own properties there are coming in and going to see our engineering firm and letting them know that this contractor did an outstanding job. And I only say that, I'm not saying what you should vote on and what you shouldn't vote on, but I know they're in here for something else, Joe Med, for some other resolution. And they did a great job, and those residents are really happy who live on DeHart, and that's a tough road. Those curbs were down, they weren't there, they did a great job. So if you get a chance, drive down DeHart, see what they did, and the paving's coming next year. So thank you, Anthony, for overseeing that. I know you made them dig up some curbing. You were tough, as you always are, and thank you to Joe Med for doing a great job. That's it, Councilor. Thank you.
Just one last point on the Morris Street. Can we have our attorney look at the redevelopment agreement?
Yeah,
and
that's.
just see if there's any qual requirements in there that we can.
Well, that was the first question I asked him. Does the council have oversight or authority to dictate to the developer who they use?
Right. No.
So I don't think so.
But in terms of qualifications or requirements, then can we ask if they could?
Qualifications.
If they meet the requirements and such. I'll leave that.
Under COA's requirements.
Yeah.
Are they required to put it out there for everybody to apply, or?
I don't know.
No?
I don't think so. It's
No
private
requirements?
development.
Private,
Okay. Moving on to council liaison reports.
Nothing really much to report from the Morristown Partnership, other than this is the last weekend for the Christmas Festival. The activity details can be found on their website It's December the 16th through the 18th, so this will be the last weekend for that event. And the mayor mentioned the website, so just wanted to make mention of that as well.
Great, thank you.
I'll go next. Okay.
Hear this.
Okay, fall planting is complete with 60 trees that will be watered by the contractor for this year only while the town catches up on the current tree watering from the past year. 6 trees were relocated from our business district due to being planted too high. Business district tree wells will have a deeper grind in spring 2023. Biocar and FlexiPave in the business district will resume in spring 2023. There was a 3-month gap between the departure of the town's arborist and the arrival of his replacement. During that time, Chairperson Kristen Ace, assumed most of the arborist's responsibilities. On to parks. Woodland garden remediation has begun along the Ledgewood Park fence line. The first garden was donated by Kristen Ace and will be watered by Susan and John Landau. The second woodland garden will be created for a $2,100 grant from the Rotary Club and watered by a resident. There is a third resident who would like to supply water to the woodland garden, and funds are being researched for that. Ultimately, shade trees will line the front of the woodland garden fence line, and the first one will go in for the 2023 Arbor Day donated by the Rotary Club in the name of former Mayor Jay Delaney. Jacob Ford slope remediation work will begin this winter after the DPW finishes invasive removal of a few more shrubs. We will lay on an erosion control blanket, and hundreds of seeds will be sowed. The seeds are donated by Kristen Ace. Invasive removal began at Washington Statue with the Shade Tree Commission and a resident volunteer. The Friends of Foots Pond would, under the Shade Tree Commission umbrella and in partnership with Shade Tree, continue to remediate the forest and expand native environment. I just want to also make a note that Friends at Foot Ponds logged over 1,000 hours of volunteer time. Okay, so sorry. I think I'm here, right here. All right, so they received a donation from the Morris Garden Club. Oh, and I said that already, have logged volunteers hours, and now a destination for schools to bring children to learn about native planting, wildlife, and trees. The Shade Tree Commission went out for 5 grants this year. 2 were awarded totaling $33,000, and 1 is pending for $20,000. After attending a Shade Tree Commission forum, Chairperson Kristen Ace discovered that Morristown was the only one of those 20 municipalities that did not lose any new tree plantings in this year's drought due to the water program instituted by the Shade Tree Commission. The Shade Tree Commission wants to thank Mayor Doherty, Jillian Barrick, and her administrative staff, Anthony DeVizio, and his engineering team, Joe Curlo, and his DPW team, and the council for their continued support of the Shade Tree. They can't do a great work without you. Special thanks to Councilwoman Cotton, who jumped right in with Shade Tree Commission and became a strong advocate for our work. We consider her daughter to be an honorary Shade Tree Commission member for the tree information she spread throughout the town. We are proud to serve with all of you and serve Morristown's tree canopy and green spaces. Thank you. She rocks.
Oh, good.
I just want to remind everybody that the parking authority is offering free parking, so we encourage everybody to visit the downtown, eat, drink, shop, and enjoy the shows, and free parking.
And just one last thing, I forgot to piggyback off of Mayor Doherty's mention of the Our Youth, Their Future annual holiday spectacular this year. We're celebrating our 10th annual, so we're happy to be back in the trenches. We got our toys donated from Marine Toys for Tots, which was awesome, so thank you, Marine Toys for Tots. But for the last couple of years since COVID, we've been just actually delivering the toys to families in need. We haven't had an actual event, so this is our first, opportunity of opening back up to the community, and we're thankful for the staff at the Morristown Housing Authority, executive director and board members for allowing us to use the Marion Sally Center to host our 10th annual event. So, and we thank all of our sponsors and other donators that'll be donating pizza and food to help, celebrate our 10 years. So thank you, everybody.
We'll be getting more toys because there's a party on Thursday night we've arranged for all the toys to be collected to be donated to your organization.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. That's right. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate the support.
Anyone else?
Okay, I'll go. MHA. The last meeting of the year will be next Monday. However, I have a report, RAD update. All apartments at 29 Ann Street have been completed for the renovations. All the residents are back home in the building. The first floor lobby and community rooms are completed with the exception of the new furniture. They anticipate the new furniture coming in before the end of the year. The parking lot repaving also completed. There are some final items that still remain, such a new building sign and completion of landscaping. After I have said that, I received a complaint from one of the residents at 29 Ann Street. So I contacted Keith Kinnard. We have a conversation on the phone. We have a conversation in person, and also he wrote a statement, and I think things are clarified and going in a better way. After the renovations are done, there have been some issues at the 29 Ann building. One of the things that Keith said is we had a 1960 building with 2022 equipment. Once that start functioning, issues will come out, and then they have to redo things, piping and other things. So in his response, I'm going to read briefly some highlights of his response. He says, MHA is currently undergoing both comprehensive redevelopment of its entire real estate portfolio and a complete repositioning of the way we do business with 4 goals in mind. Number 1, improve the overall quality and character of the entire real estate inventory through replacement, including internal apartments entirely, external envelope, walls, windows, roofs, parking lots, retaining wall systems, etc. Common areas. The second goal, fundamentally shift our business and delivery models, which change a long-term property manager of underfunded and increasingly distressed public housing to an asset manager of Section 8 supported multifamily housing. The new model operates within public-private partnership framework to increase accountability and better leverage our assets. The new business model would be more economically sustainable and far less dependent on dwindling public housing funds. Goal number 3, invest in effective social services for our residents. Strategically partner with local and regional social service providers to dramatically improve the experience and opportunities of our residents. Invest in social service activities that provide wraparound services for all age groups who reside in MH properties. And goal number 4, create a new affordable housing opportunities in Morristown through the provision of debt equity acquisition of building and or new construction. In sum, we are keenly aware that there are issues that need to be addressed by property management, maintenance, and construction. The MHA has been clear to our partners, OAS Morristown Senior LLC, that we expect high level of property management and regular communication with residents about issues pertaining to their building. We have already advised OAS that MHA intends to continue management of Menahan Village post-closing until we're fully satisfied that senior buildings management maintenance are meeting performance standards. So I think that's a good measure in order to improve the way management is working with 29 Ann Street, and will work with the other 2 senior buildings. last thing that I want to read, 29 Anstur reaches the end of its construction journey. We will now be working harder on the following. Number one, ensuring that management has consistent and more frequent communication with residents. That was one of the issues, and we spoke about it, and then this is the result. Number two, making sure service orders are completed in timely manner. And number three, reintroducing resident service to the building. Also, he has opened for residents to communicate with his office when they cannot reach management. Two more things for the report. Social Service Department, which is one of the best things that has happened at MHA. The social service team has implemented an Instagram and Facebook social media under the Marion E. Sally Residence Center name, highlighting the various activities planned and that have taken place. The team has also been connecting several residents to various programs and organizations in the area of assistance. The following activities are planned for the remainder of December. Today was the unveiling of the computer room sponsored by the New York Jets. It was a great event. Neighborhood House brought like 16 or 18 children to sit at their computers and basically start working there, and they have a game. They gave them hats from the Jets. Mayor didn't take one because they didn't have bills. And it was a great event. And also the VP of Public Relations of the Jets brought a donation of $15,000 for MHA. So it was well attended. Members of his staff at the Jets came to the event, and the staff of MHA, so it was good. 12:14, Gingerbread Holiday Builder from 2 to 3 with kids. 12:15, December 15, Christmas party by the selected families sponsored by Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. Sunday the 18th, Holiday Spectacular. This is the third time that we announced that by our Youth to the Future. Great event. And on December 20, Nourish New Jersey presents Kids Baking Class.
Oh, awesome. Okay, yeah.
Thank you, David.
Yep.
Good stuff.
You set the standard, so David was able to pass the 5-minute mark without any comments. It's all good. We also get two. This is we're doing it for 2 meetings, so get 10.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Under that.
Absolutely.
All right, if that's it, we'll move on to regular business.
Yes, there are no ordinances for introduction tonight, but we do have one for public hearing and adoption. That's ordinance number O-35-2022, an ordinance amending and revising Chapter 19, Solid Waste Management, Garbage and Recyclables of the Code of the Town of Morristown.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-35-2022.
I'll second.
Oh, yes. You will.
I will now open the floor for a public hearing for members of the public who wish to address ordinance O-35-2022.
Yes, go on up.
I just didn't want you to vote before I put my 2 cents in.
Oh, no.
I'm looking at page 3 under definitions, garbage container. You talk about a capacity of not less than 10 nor more than 32 gallons. Well, I conform to that, but the majority of people in this town have 36, 46, the big ones. Those are the ones that have the lids attached. The 20, which I use, and the 32 that I provide sometimes, do not have the lid attached, but they have a lid. So that's an issue. Since you only want to go up to 32 gallons, you're going to have people that have a lot more than 32-gallon tanks. Now, lid and wheels, 20 gallons don't have wheels. They start at 32. Or handle sufficient size and strength. And then you go into, in bold, as well as a device to secure the lid to the container. Well, that doesn't start until about 36 gallons. And I don't think anybody, and I'm not, going to buy a container that size and take 2 years to fill it up. I use a 20-gallon, I don't even need that. I get 1 bag of each thing. The reason there's so much garbage, too, is the second and third ward is the issue with garbage. And it's not garbage, it's stacking. S-T-A-C-K-I-N-G, which nobody wants to deal with. If you deal with the stacking, the garbage will correct itself. I think that, Stefan, you had an issue in the third ward many years ago with stacking. Okay, so basically you're going to pass an ordinance that most people can't conform to because their garbage cans are greater than 32. And they don't recycle. That's another thing. I recycle. That's why my garbage is... People pour the cans, the bottles, newspapers, whatever, into a garbage bag, and they just throw it out at the normal garbage collection period. So there's several issues, but the size of the container is an issue that if you pass this, everybody's going to violate the zoning or the ordinance.
Any other questions about the ordinance, comments? No? Okay, we will, I assume there's nothing online.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I was looking at the ordinance. No questions on it.
All right, we'll close the public hearing on that.
Any comments or questions from council?
You know, the comment that I've received from numerous people in the neighborhoods is, but I think we're okay with it, because I know this is a complicated ordinance and I understand. But it's the second large trash collection day, okay? But if you read, and I think it's here, and I've talked with Jillian a little bit about this, if you read 19-section 2.1, you know, it does say in paragraph 7, Town of Morristown may collect large items of garbage and scrap metals in accordance with the jar. We're not changing anything to do with large trash second day collection. So we're leaving that alone.
Correct.
And I will say that same theory is in this ordinance, and also it's carried forward in other clauses here. But the other good thing is that I do think we do reinforce exactly in very plain language, not relying on this ordinance, in our trash notice that we send out at the beginning of every year. And in that, it does state very clearly what we can and can't put out on large trash day. And on large trash day, if you want to consolidate it into a plastic bag for the ease of the garbage men, that's probably okay too. You know, that's not an issue. This is truly something that we're trying to control, what we're controlling. Now, on this issue of the lid, okay, because I think
that was asked before it was.
It was asked before, and we got an answer before. Do you want to take that one? Go ahead.
I know that Mr. Mancello had elaborated on that issue, and perhaps for the benefit of the public, you could explain how essentially the size of the can and the definitions and the security of the lid complies with what normal people do.
I can certainly speak to the size of the container has not been amended at all. All of this ordinance seeks to do is to clarify that bags are not permissible, that you must keep your trash in a receptacle with a device that can close. And a device that can close means any type of lid, whether it has a hinge or a clasp, anything that keeps a lid in place is acceptable under the ordinance. That is the totality of the change. There was some ambiguity in our ordinance, as you know, with regard to whether or not bags were permissible on the street or not. Prior to, I think, the last iteration, the last amendments that were made, one section was amended and another was not. We've since clarified that. I think it's the intention of this governing body, this council, to make sure that all trash left on the street is in a container with a lid that can close. And that's the totality of what we achieved by this ordinance amendment. I hope that answers your question.
That does. I assume that if we adopt this ordinance as it is, that the administration won't give tickets to people who have larger than 30 gallons or less than 30 gallons.
Blue Diamond's not
cans.
complaining. As a matter of fact, I get nothing but compliments on how well Blue Diamond,
Oh, they're awesome.
they're awesome.
They are.
I got a Christmas card from one,
Awesome.
too. Just thought I'd add that as a side note.
Any other comments from council? Right, call the question.
On the adoption of ordinance O-35-2022, Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilman Mayor.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Councilman Umbriak.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Ordinance 35-2022 is adopted. There are 16 resolutions on the agenda for adoption. Would members of council like to pull any for separate consideration?
We pull 181.
181?
Yeah, just 181.
Just 181? Okay, with that, I would ask for a motion to adopt resolution numbers R-167-2022 through R-180-2022 and R-182-2022.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
On the adoption of that motion. Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilman Mayor.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Councilman Umbriak.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution number R-181-2022, resolution authorizing the lease of certain office space within Town Hall located at 200 South Street, Morristown, New Jersey, to the Morristown Housing Authority.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution R-181, 2022.
I'll second.
Councilman Iannacone.
Just a question of clarification, because it wasn't clear in the resolution. Is it the housing authority, is it the authority, or is it the management company, or is it the third-party corporation that was created? What entity are we doing the contract?
The Morristown Housing Authority. They will be relocating from their office space on Early Street to the
Gotcha.
fourth floor Town Hall.
Okay, so this is actually the housing authority
Yes.
itself? Okay, so it's no longer going to be in the senior building, it's going to be here in town?
Correct. A majority of their administrative offices will be here in Town Hall.
Is the management piece of it staying in the
Yes.
residences? It is?
Yes.
Okay,
And they provide direct services to the residents
Perfect, thank
from their property.
Just a couple questions. So, the $2 a square foot, is that standard?
$20 a square foot.
$20 a square foot?
Two.
Yes.
$20 a square foot, per month, sorry. It's $2 a square foot per month. So it ends up being $20 a square foot per year. Yeah. All right. Also, can you elaborate on what the cost of I know there was a whole bunch of work on the fourth floor to get it up to snuff for them?
90% of the work was done by Public Works,
Okay,
and it was done over the period of about a week.
great. Okay,
So the walls, the painting, everything was done
Okay.
in-house.
Fantastic, good.
So just to clarify, the services where people in the early street houses want to go talk to their, if they have an issue, it's going to be there, and housing's going to be here.
Correct. If they have an issue with an apartment or something with their unit, they would deal with the management company directly, yes.
And they're staying on site?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, on the adoption of resolution R-181-2022, Councilwoman Cotton.
Yes.
Councilman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mayor.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbriak.
I'm not council president, but yes.
I mean,
It's a prophecy?
oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Councilman Silva. Councilman Umbriak.
Yes.
Council President Armington.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Foster became a president. huh?
Okay, that concludes the regular business. There's no unfinished business, there's no new business. I would like to say that this is the last meeting of 2022. I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, anything else that you support or believe in.
Can I just make one other comment? I just want to thank everybody who serves on our boards and our commissions in town. I mean, they do yeoman service, and I know they're all having special meetings, and so thank you to everybody who serves as volunteers in this town. They really do great service.
Especially the Board of Adjustment that has a brutal next week.
Really?
Anyway,
Motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
I
Adjourned.
Thank you.